Hey, good evening, everybody. It's your girl, Miss Eha, coming live all the way from Mobile, Alabama with our episode. Like I told you, I can't count no more. I lost count. But here we are with Journey with Trish. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Go ahead while you know it's still early on and like, comment, follow, share. If you know anybody who has a teenager or any teenagers or just any moms who are pregnant or have been pregnant, recently pregnant, or thinking about getting pregnant, depression is so well known in our community, and in high numbers we see it in women. And so tonight we have two very special ladies in here with us tonight who are going to help us dive into some depression topics as far as motherhood and immediately, well, pregnancy and then immediately after motherhood. And then we also have someone here tonight who is going to talk to us about the support systems that are related to motherhood, and parenting in general, moms and dads. So, who do I have with me? Don't let me forget, I got to give y'all a medical disclaimer. Neither myself, Patricia Reed, aka Ija de Jimenez, Journey with Trish, or Help the Sister Out, or any affiliations that I am connected to, have are giving you any type of medical advice tonight. If you are having any type of medical or psychiatric emergency, we would defer you to your nearest emergency room, call your primary care or your psychiatrist, your therapist, but it is not either one of us here tonight. Okay, so having said that, go ahead and tell me who I have to my right.
Hi, I'm Lakendra Hanaj. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I am also the owner of Tranquility Counseling and Consult. Many of you know me as Lakendra Ellis. Definitely thank you, Patricia, for having me tonight. So we can talk a little bit about what depression looks like within our, teens and just different families and just different things like that.
Tell them when you came here. I am so grateful and thankful for you because when you agreed to be on Journey with Trish, I thought you lived here in Mobile. So where are you from?
I actually live in Montgomery, Alabama now. So I came down today just to be here with you, Trish.
Just
Thank
to
you for
be here
having
with
me.
me today. Thank you so much for that. And then tell me who we have over here to my left.
I am Kalia Powell, and I'm the administrator of Ambitiously Him and Her King Foundation here in Mobile, Alabama. We are a nonprofit organization. The founder is Latanya Patterson. And so we are geared towards helping young parents and pregnant youth, both mom and dad, ages 13 through 23.
Okay. And so I want to start off a little bit with you. Kind of tell me how it's ambitiously him and her
King
King
Foundation.
Foundation. So tell me how that organization started.
So it started because of Latanya's son, and he became a father at the age of 16, but then became a single father at the age of 17.
Oh wow.
And because of that, obviously as a mom, she looked at it as okay, this can't be only happening in my home. This has to be happening in other parents' home. And so that stemmed from their child, which his name is King, and so that's why it's ambitiously him and her King Foundation.
Hmm.
So King is I guess you can say, is the root of it all. Just providing something for parents, whether you're a single mom, a single dad, or whether you're co-parenting, whether you are a couple. It takes, two to make a child, but it also takes two to raise them. Of course, if it's not a toxic environment, things of that nature. So because of that, she founded the organization, and she just started providing resources. It's something that she started on her own. She knew that it was a need in our community for that, and she was willing to stand in the gap for that.
Okay, so we're going to come back and have you tell us kind of what some of those resources are that you guys provide, or you ladies provide.
Okay.
And tell me why therapy?
Well, therapy actually became a part of my life many years ago. People just would walk up to me and just want to hold conversations. So I'm like, okay. And basically, so I'm like, well, what is it that I give off that make people comfortable? And so I already had a bachelor's in business. So I said, okay, here we go. Let's get this master's in counseling. And since 2018, I worked with co-occurring, which is basically individuals that have mental health issues as well as addiction issues combined. And then came in private practice as of August 2020. So here I am, still in private practice. I absolutely love it. There's definitely a stigma when it comes to mental health, especially in our community and different things like that. And so I am here basically to definitely talk about what it looks like and how does it affect like everyone in the family. It doesn't affect just that one person. It affects everybody. It affects your job because you have to be able to go to your job and perform. It affects the your auntie because guess what? If mom can't be there, someone has to be there to help you out to cope and to get by. And even when you fall short, someone has to stand in the gap for you.
I was actually looking at the news while I was getting dressed today for for the podcast, and I saw where the CDC has said that there is a rising epidemic of loneliness in across the nation. Um, and so that being isolation, and isolation is something that we've been talking about on the podcast a lot lately. So I found it interesting to know that loneliness, and what they said that caught my attention was that having the symptom or diagnose, because loneliness, that can actually be a diagnosis, and having that symptom can be just as dangerous as smoking 12 cigarettes a day.
Hmm.
Can you believe that?
I can definitely believe that. A lot of people are afraid to be alone. Um, One of the things that definitely with the epidemic that we were in, of course, it increased just that much more. And there are a lot of people who still are stuck almost as if we're in an epidemic like we were in. And so now what you see now is a lot of depression. You see, unfortunately, a lot of suicides and just different things like that. And a lot of people don't have outlets where they're able to have a safe space to talk with someone. And so that's really important.
Do you see like loneliness as one of the topics that you guys discuss? Is something you see a lot in your teens?
And so it's funny that you say that because that's a lot of the root causes. So one of the first things that we ask our young parents, why, why did you become pregnant, or what stemmed it? They say, I wanted someone who was going to love me forever. I wanted someone that was going to be mine, not thinking we still have to feed them, clothe them. One day they can turn 13 and say, I hate you. That sweet little bundle of joy that you just poured all this love into can be this adolescent that's going through, whatever the case may be. So that's a root cause of why we have, so many young parents, because they have that severe sense of loneliness, or it's just me and I just want someone to love me for me.
And now that I'm thinking of it, that's actually how you and I connected when we had a previous episode. And I brought up the topic of, when I got pregnant, when I was in the 12th grade when I got pregnant. And I, was transparent in saying that I got pregnant on purpose. It was absolutely unequivocally not a mistake when I got pregnant. And so my sole purpose of getting pregnant was because I wanted somebody that I could protect. And so, in wanting to protect my oldest daughter, I became very overbearing, and I wanted to do everything exact and everything correct. And I was going to be a perfect parent. And I wanted to show my parents that it was possible to raise a child and protect them from everything, no matter what it was. I mean, I set myself up for failure from the absolute beginning of it. I had great parents. Great parents. I would never take that from them. They did the best that they could, which was a lot with what they knew. We know a whole lot more now than our parents did before. Um, so thank you for coming on, because it's definitely something that we wanted to talk about. And we wanted, if you have any young girls out there that are looking, I know that my daughter was also here that night, who was a teen mom, and she had actually said, if I could go back, I would have the same child just a little bit later, because it does cause, like, it's a lot more responsibility it's a lot of responsibility for adults, you know.
much less a child, not a child, but a young adults who is still trying to figure out themselves. You don't really know what you want. And even even as adults, we think we want something, and then once we attain it, it's like, well, that's not what I, thought it was going to be. So once a child is here, there's no putting them back in, they're here. And at that point, you just have to kind of figure it out, and it can become stressful. And then that's when you roll over into the postpartum depression, that I'm going from this baby's been inside of me for 9 months. And now you looking at me and I'm looking at you, and we just looking at each other like, okay, yeah, we really about to do this.
Another thing that happens is like the confusion, like with the parents, especially if they're already in a situation where they may be what we would call quote unquote struggling, and to have to not only feed the mouths of the children that they have, but also a young baby that's coming also fresh to the house. Yeah. So that's definitely a big thing too, which is why I made mention this is not just the parents, the young parents, but this is like the entire family. And, and that's the boys' family, that's the girls' family. And a lot of times what we'll see is the boy's parents and also the boy, they will try to shy him away sometimes from the girl, which we know you're already just becoming a new mom and just different things like that. But it's going to take the support of everyone. So we can't just leave the girl out by herself. The dad has to step up too. His parents have to step up as well, because it takes a village to raise the children.
And that makes me think about, back in the day when, a mom will become, a young woman will become pregnant. You're not married. You have to come up to the front of the church and pretty much lay everything bare. But the dad is right there on the drums. He doesn't have to come up to the front. Like, I didn't, make this baby by myself. And so a lot of the times it does fall on the mom. You're already thinking, just as you say, okay, I want to make sure I do this right. I want this for my child, I want that for my child. And you're thinking that you're in a partnership, and then it turns around and a lot of things fall on you. And even just the ideal of the thought process of the father's parents, if they raised him to be a provider, then that's what he's going to be. And he only thinks that if I provide, then that's enough. Well, if you're not an effective communicator, if you can't bond with your child, if you can't change a diaper, if we can't switch, those things come into play. And so it's, your grandparents, your godparents, that village or that tribe that's going to be surrounding your family, it's important that you're equally yoked with them as well.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, like as far as with the church, but I can remember like with my grandparents, they would talk about like when young ladies got pregnant, like back in the day, what would happen was people would send them off, and you would go stay with another family somewhere else until you had that baby, and then you would come on back home, and then all of a sudden you would just pop back in with the baby. So a lot of that shame
make you go to different schools and everything.
Absolutely.
You just create you're a new person.
Yeah, pregnancy being a teenager is not the best thing. However, we have to have unconditional love for our children. And if we say we have unconditional love, that means, okay, this person made a mistake, or if they even did it on purpose, maybe not. They were thinking with a teen mind, not a adult mind or anything like that. So we have to hold on to them. But as we can see, generations after generations, we were taught to be ashamed. So what happens is a lot of parents or aunties, uncles, and people, they start getting on the phone and they like to gossip with their friends. And, the child hears this. I've had many people say, I don't feel a safe place with my mom, or I don't feel a safe place with my dad, because things that we talk about personally and privately, they're getting on the phone and gossiping about it and telling my business.
They get on the prayer line. Oh, I just want y'all to pray for my baby. She got this, and it's like, mama, grandma, like it's like 100 of y'all on that prayer line. 100 people don't need to know. What? I know you want to pray for me, but just don't do that in solitude between you and the Lord. Let's me and you go and have some intercessory prayer, and let that be our thing. And I think sometimes they do it, with a good heart in mind, because that's what they know. That's what we do. We get on the phone, we talk about such and such, because a lot of times they older. they don't really have no life. So your life and what you have going on, that's what they're talking about. And I don't think they realize the detriment that has, because if I'm already kind of feeling hard on myself and, struggling with things that I may not even be verbally talking to you about, you're basically spreading my shame to other people. And they may not even look at it because they're like, oh, baby, that ain't nothing. I had 4, 5, they not thinking nothing of it, but because it's something of the highest thing that I may hold myself. I may have, wanted X, Y, and Z for myself. And I feel like, man, I done messed up now. This is not what I thought it was. I thought I had a partner. Now I'm doing this by myself. That type of thing. And I think we just kind of, not we, but sometimes the older generation can just oversight that because they feel like it ain't that big of a deal. You're making a big deal out of that. And it's like, sometimes they do it maliciously, but you got two sides to a coin.
And I'm not even going to just say older people anymore, because social media, I have to be very careful. And I tell people all the time, yes, I'm very transparent when it comes to me when I come on here. But this is Journey with Trish, not Journey with Chris or Journey with Treasure or Shamaya. Like, this is not there. When they feel like they want to tell their story, then they'll tell their story. Their story is not my story to tell. So if I get on here and I talk about something, but my children may be going through something, and I'm from this community, and you guys may know, but you see me saying something on here, but I haven't mentioned it. Okay, well, because I'm on here talking about me, not my children. And so, what I'll also add to that is we always want for our children to have somebody, because there may be somebody that they feel comfortable with. They just may not be always comfortable talking to mommy or daddy about every single thing, or even their siblings about every single thing. So as a community, if you are a child's person, be a responsible person, and be genuine when they are coming to you. Don't give them any advice that hopefully you wouldn't give to your children, and continue to be there for them. Don't just all of a sudden just decide that, okay, well, no, I don't want to deal with that child anymore. Because sometimes our children will find somebody who they know because it's my cousin's mom, it's my auntie, or it's my friend's mom, and I'm there all the time. But then me and my cousin fell out. And so now, because me and my cousin fell out and me and my friend fall out, well, now this person who I had that I could go to, now I lost, because a lot of times adults make the mistake of getting into children's business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so now that child doesn't have that person. And that can be a very traumatic thing to lose, not only like this cousin, but now that kind of second mom that you thought that you had. So, be responsible as a community as well.
And I think that even goes with a lot of times when you befriend that aunt or someone on the dad's side, and then everything's all great because we're together. But then when we're not together, you see those subtle, body language changes. You see that you're not invited to stuff as much. You see that how you once were so inclusive in things, you're not so much. And so then when you kind of, okay, I kind of see what's going on, it's hurtful because man, I remember sharing so many intimate moments with you. I thought that I could trust you. I thought you were someone, who would, be there for my child. And a lot of times they're like, oh, well, you still want to let them be around. Well, if you're not, beneficial to me, if you're not conducive, let me say that, and you're, toxic towards me, and now I feel like I can't trust you because I'm hearing certain things, I see people doing certain things, I'm like, it's only one way, because I know I only told one person,
right?
And sometimes you can confront people, but it doesn't even do you the justice to confront people. Sometimes it's like you gotta have to kind of make that mental note and like, okay, that sucks, because I thought I had somebody in my corner. I thought I had someone I could depend on. And it's like, okay, not only did I lose my partnership, now this extended family that I thought I once had, now I have to separate myself, which again, not only affects me, it affects my child as well. Because if I can't be around you, it's a good chance that my child's not going to be around. Because if you don't respect me as being her mother, then why would I trust you to handle or be with my child, especially if I'm not around?
Exactly. And so it definitely causes a lot of isolation, because a lot of times too, they're teen moms that don't even have their own mom as a safe place, or they shun them away because due to the pregnancy, or they may have their own life going on, their own agenda where they're trying to fulfill and accomplish. So they leave the child to basically fend for themselves and raise themselves. And now not only is this child raising themselves, but they're now raising a baby too. And so when you speak of like, this person has basically, attached themselves to the boy's parents and his family, his aunts and uncles. Now she feels like she's completely lost and she doesn't have anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to have somebody. We have to have, like Trish said, our person.
Mhm.
We all
Everybody
want to
needs a
feel
person.
like we are wanted and we can actually go to someone and say, hey, this is what I have going on. But another thing that happens too is sometimes people feel like this person has their own problems. So I don't really want to
burden
go to them and I don't want to burden them with my problems.
Yeah.
And so when a person does come to you as well, we don't always necessarily want to hear about your problems, because sometimes I can talk about my problems and another person, they'll hear me talking about them like, oh, well, let me tell you about me too. And it's
like,
and it always turns into them
Mm.
versus, this is what I have going on. And I don't necessarily always share. So I felt comfortable with you, but in me trying to tell you about you, now it's about me. Now it's about you.
I made this exact mistake in a social media thread that, I'm always on social media. So I made this exact mistake the other day, and it was with someone who is an educator. And, with all that's been going on with the substitute teachers or the teachers, and
Mhm.
it was the video that was going around about a teacher that was leaving education, I believe. And this particular educator was saying, how they don't feel like they're heard. Administrators don't listen, and parents are scared of the children, and teachers are scared of administrators, just like all that stuff. And so where I think I went wrong is when I thought I was trying to offer compassion and saying, I understand you're not the only profession that goes through that, because God knows as nurses, we preach the same thing all the time, especially being like nurses go back to become MPs so that we can have more autonomy. Like that is the number one reason that nurses choose to go into being a nurse practitioner. Admin, we used to say all the time that they were more worried about the bed being in the lowest position, than us telling you what we really need to be able to take care of these patients. And so what I did though was I kind of made it about me, I think.
Okay.
And they were so they were so used to people not hearing them. And not appreciate. Yeah. And so I had to go back and and say, listen, I'm telling you that I'm on your side. Just telling you, you're not the only profession. Not saying like I'm not saying like you're whining because you ain't the only one going through that. No. I was trying to tell you, I get it. I get it because I've been there, but people don't always want to hear your side of the story. Sometimes people just want to tell you what they have going on. Maybe you do have a story you need to tell, but maybe you just need to tell it to somebody else, because the person has to be in a good place to be able to receive your story.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that also kind of attributes to, like, me and my friends had this conversation. It's like, okay, I really need to talk to you. We kind of came up with like a signal. Sometimes we may send like an emoji or something to kind of just pre-help them. Because sometimes, honestly, people are just not in a space to where it's like, I would love to hear, what's going on. But today was a day. I'm at capacity. I don't even have room. So I wouldn't even be any good to you. Can talk to me, and the help that I would normally give, or the good advice that I probably would be able to have, or even just to take a moment and pray with you. I'm so at capacity, I don't even have it to give.
And it's funny that you say that, because my friends and I, 2 weeks ago, one person in our group shared that, how about we do like Monday check-ins? And so, they was, being that I'm the mental health professional, I was like, well, how do you think this should go about? And I was like, if we want to do it throughout the day, if we want to have a special time to do it, but if it's something, we use like the alarm to let, everyone know like, hey, this is important, look at this. And we're able to offer encouraging words and things like that. And, some of my friends was like, what, they was realizing things about themselves. Like a lot of times they will undershare. They never share about anything that's personal, that's bothering them. But they're always this person that wants to go to and put their hands on the other person and make them feel better. So we definitely have to make sure that we're always in a place that we can listen and allow a person to talk and to speak, because a lot of people don't have a voice at home.
And so, like, just like you said, a lot of times people, like, you have a group of people and you stop telling them, like, I'm not going to keep telling her all, everything I got on. They don't never tell me
What
nothing.
they got going on.
Yeah, like, what's
Right.
going on with you? So it does need to be a certain level. Like, we need to be able to trust each other. And I need to think that, we all know that nobody is perfect. We know we all have something going on sometimes. So, why am I sharing everything with you? Because if I can't share with you, then I'm probably not talking to the right person anyway. Right? You need to be in a group of people who you share enough to share what you have going on. You were about to say something?
People who actually know you, not know of you. And a lot of times we know of people, and people that only share enough for us to know of. For me personally, those are people I become real leery about, because it's like, are you here to absorb like a sponge, or what's going on? Like, I'm kind of afraid to share now because I don't know
What your intentions are.
And that's just me, and that's me as a mental health professional. So I can only imagine someone who has had dealings with, trying to share and different things like that, where someone may have came behind their back and told some personal information. And that's another thing too. People are afraid to share, once again, because they're afraid of it leaving this person's ears and it being gossiped about by just other people and people finding out. And they've been burned so many times from that. And so it's almost, it's a fear. I can't talk to you because I don't know what your intentions are. So I'm here internalizing everything myself, by myself.
And it's in my head. It's just going on a loop. I'm not even getting anywhere. I'm answering my own question. I'm having conversations with other people, but in my head. So I'm answering,
overthinking. Totally overthinking, overanalyzing until you're just running around in your own head. And you're thinking people are even talking about you that may not necessarily even, your name may not be on their tongue. So that's definitely a thing of overthinking. And we have to, a lot of times, get out of our own heads. But if we haven't been taught, or if we haven't been shown, it's okay to trust someone, there lies the problems. Because, and one thing I see in teens is teens don't like making new friends. Teens do not like making new friends, and I see that like every day, like even with my like younger people and things like that, they don't like new friends. And I think a lot of it is kind of taught maybe from parents and things like that who have had this type of trauma where they received it. And so now the children in return have seen this, not necessarily saying they hadn't experienced it, but a lot of it comes from the adults. Adults can evoke trauma onto their children. Kind of like Trish, something that you and I have discussed before, of how science now shows like trauma can show up in our DNA sequence. And it can be passed down. And, I don't want to get too technical, but when we start talking about just different genes and how they're supposed to respond and just different things like that, they're not able to respond the way that they're supposed to. And, that's the thing now. So we're just going down the line, just passing trauma on. And so that's one thing we don't want to do, especially with a teen mom, is to say, hey, I was a teen mom and this what happened to me. So now we put everything negative that happened to us on this new teen mom who hasn't seen any of these things, but now we've evoked a fear that wasn't even there, and from our own trauma.
I do feel like, though, I think that, and I don't know, maybe it's just the children that I like, my own children and their friends, the ones that I'm around, they seem to be more loyal than my generation of friends.
Right.
You're
absolutely right.
They have a genuine, deep compassion. They really care about about their friends.
I'm gonna say yes because I mean I can say this now because I'm grown and her mama can't whoop me no more. But I remember when one of my very best friends, we're sisters, like we're not even friends. I think she did something like with her report card. She didn't come. She was tripping. But we were in high school and her mom came to my house and she was like, is she in there this thing and third? And they're from New Orleans, so she can be very like intimidating. And I was like, she what? I was like, I don't know where she is. I was like, but I'll let you know if she come by. My sister was sitting right in the living room. She was like, oh, thank you. And I'm like, now look, now you gotta wait because you got to go through the front. I was like, she's going, and so it's just because I felt like I had to protect her because her mom was really, really strict. And there were some things that she was going through that she did not feel comfortable telling her mom. And so she came to me for a lot of things because just like you, people walk up to me and they will they will tell me their whole life. And I'm like, I know that's something inside of me that God just placed because I'll say things and I'm like, how did I even know to say that? Right. And I'm like, and people are like, you how old? And it's always older people come to me. And so she would confide in me and I felt like I had to protect her. Like even though this show, because I tell people like my goddaughters, my best, I go to war with your mama. I don't care because this is me and you at the end of the day. Like I'm here to protect you. Obviously if you're not trying to harm yourself or anything like that, but my loyalty is to you and making sure that you're okay. Because I know sometimes as moms, sometimes as that authority figure, we want the best, but sometimes we can smother them. Sometimes we are over projecting because of our own fears and what didn't work and what didn't work out for us. It's like okay. Maybe it didn't work out for you, but maybe you can tell me some things that I can kind of deviate to where maybe it can work for me this go round instead of just, you ain't no sense in doing that. Them folks don't like us. Them folks ain't gonna never give you no chance. You don't need to, so it's loyal. Like I'm like die hard. We can even be into it, but we got a united front. Ain't nobody else gonna know.
But you know what happens sometimes with that loyalty? They start allowing disrespect. And that's what I see a lot. Boundaries. Like they're so loyal to their friends and things like that. Like their friend can disrespect them and they can feel a type of way, but they won't say anything. They won't say anything. They don't want to talk about, hey, that's not cool. That's a boundary that you shouldn't be crossing with me. And they'll just rather, we friends, we loyal to each other and things like that.
She just like that. That's just how she is. And it's like, no.
I hate that phrase.
And we evolve because that's how we were. And I think I used to maybe do some things and not intentional, of course, and she would do some things and we got into place, of course, in our adult years. And when we start learning about boundaries for ourselves, not even just in our relationship, but when we started setting boundaries in our domestic relationships and other people, we were like, well, it kind of bothers me when you do X, Y, and Z. Because like I used to send her different stuff, like domestic violence. I mean, just different things that I was saying. Like, I really hate that. This, that, and third. And she was like, "Stop sending me that stuff." And I was like, "Well, I'm just sending it to you because she was like, it's triggering for me." And it hurt my feelings a little bit because I was like, I would never do anything to purposefully trigger you or anything like that. But that was something that she could relate to. You know what I'm saying? And we would have conversations about that. She was like, send me something about Tabitha Brown, because Auntie Tab is everybody auntie. She's like, send me stuff about Tabitha Brown or send me more positive things. And I was like, well, I send you a bunch of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, now I know I had to kind of step out of my own feelings and say, okay, this is triggering for her. And although I didn't mean to do that, she's letting me know this is hurting me. And I love you enough to say, okay, I got you. Like I'm just not going to send you, that type of stuff. I can send you the other stuff, that I normally would send. So I think it's just evolving. And when somebody is truly your friend, they can take the time to say, okay, yeah, it's less about me, more about this person, and I respect our friendship enough to make the adjustments.
Absolutely.
Because you're getting older by the count of friends that you have. Because when you're in grade school or middle school, everybody is not only your friend, but everybody is your best. Is your best friend. And so the older we get, the less friends we have, and we have to. And it's I said it before, and I say it again. It is even okay to make new friends, and even when you're older, people move to different places. So if you move to a brand new state, a brand new city, you have anybody there. Are you just going to be friendless and not go out and be social and only have your friends that are back at home, hundreds or thousands of miles away? As an adult, it should, you would think, be easier to make new friends, but It's not, because a lot of us have already been through so much. You know,
Absolutely.
you've already experienced so many like betrayals or trauma
Mhm.
in friendships. But I'm so open, and only over the past couple years. And I think being a therapist, like you said, or a nurse practitioner, for me, it is sometimes, I have to start, like, I had to create this radar so that I know, okay, when is somebody truly my friend, or when is somebody like almost like a free client, you
Right.
know?
Absolutely.
And I don't mean anything by that, but like sometimes I need somebody to talk to too. And so I had to set these boundaries and be like, okay, Trish,
Because
she's
what
not
can
your
happen
friend,
is,
she's your blah blah blah, or she's not, like, yeah, because if not, then I end up setting myself up.
or they become your project.
Or they become, oh my gosh.
They become your project. They want to, like, for me, they want to get free therapy for me, and I have to make clear boundaries and say, hey, I am a friend. I am not your therapist. So I'm going to talk to you
Zephyr.
as a friend. I'm not going to talk to you as a therapist, because now I will tell you sometimes, if I were in a therapist position, this is probably what I would tell you, but I'm not your therapist. So I need you to log on the computer and get you a therapist so you can talk about your most intimate, private thoughts and everything else that goes on, because that's a judgment free zone.
Mhm.
I'm not going to judge you either. However, sometimes when we have conversations with people, we go back and replay it in our head, and we like, oh, I said too much.
Mhm.
I said, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. Oh, I
Mhm.
hope. And so now you, once again, there we go, running back around in circles in our head. So definitely we have to find our person or our people so we can go and have a safe space with. And creating a safe space is important. If you are a person who tells everybody's business around you, you are not a safe space.
Are not.
And how can you expect now your teenage child or even your mate or someone to say, I need to talk to you and I need to have a serious conversation and it's important and it's private?
When I hear you on the
When I-
phone all the time,
Right.
telling everybody business, I'm like,
I'm not telling
nothing.
you nothing.
And that's something that we do offer, for our young parents. We have a community companion, so they come in and they can speak with a therapist, in a community, in a group setting, and if they would like to do something in private, they have that option. But we've been blessed to be able to partner, and where we can say, hey, on Saturdays, this particular Saturday, we're having the community group. If you want to come and talk about your traumas, things of that nature, and just want to find a safe space, that's something that we offer to them.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Tell me about some of the other resources tell them where you're located, how they can get in contact with Ambitiously her.
King Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're located at 505 Bayshore Avenue. So it's also known as the 505 building. The venue is in the back portion, but we have the offices in the front.
Okay.
And so you can always call us or text us at 251-274-0858. If you're a young parent between the ages of 13 and 23, you can just text the word enroll, and then our client advocacy director will reach out, or myself as the administrator will just get your general information, and then she will reach out to you and go through the application process. We also have our Facebook page, which is Ambitiously Him and Her King Foundation. We're on Instagram, Ambitiously Him Her, but all that information is right there. And you can always log onto our website, ambitiouslyhimher.org. So we even offer our Bright course, which is a company that we're partnered with. So it's a curriculum where you learn about credit, you learn about finances, you learn about co-parenting, you learn about being a single dad, you learn about being a single mom, you learn about your toddler years, your pregnancy, your different trimesters, anything that's parent, child life skills, the curriculum offers. So every Monday I'll send it out to our parents. They watch the videos, they have clips, and then they have activities and worksheets that they do. So once they complete that, I get a notification that says, hey, Shamira completed X, Y, and Z, and she earned so many points. So then they use their baby books in a sense as currency to be able to come into the office, and they can purchase with their points wipes, diapers, clothes, formula, whatever they're needing, car seat, swings. They even get points by coming and volunteering. They get points when we do our wellness check-ins with them throughout the week. So they go through the course almost like high school. So you have freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior, and then they'll graduate out of the program. So in different stages, we're focused on different things. We may be in the goal oriented where we want you to write down 10 realistic goals. And so we're trying to help you attain that, whether that's furthering your education, whether maybe you're wanting to trade school, maybe you're wanting to, get a license, cosmetology, whatever that looks like for you, whatever you need to have a better quality of life and for your child to have a better quality of life, we're going to help you with. If we don't have the resources, we're going to reach our partners and say, hey, we have a client who's interested in doing X, Y, and Z. Do you have some resources, that we can provide them? If they're needing housing, we assist them with that, as
I
well.
love it.
All of
I
that.
love it.
What about somebody who is pregnant but may not, like somebody who may be interested in putting their baby up for adoption? Is that something that you could refer to as well?
Yes. So we partner with like 211 and some of the other resources. So if they're needing to, maybe they want to do an open adoption, maybe they still want to be in the child's life, but maybe they can't take on that responsibility. Whatever if they're needing guidance in that, then we have partners that we can reach out to, of course, make sure that they're okay, with that. And then we set that up. And if they want us to come, with them, because a lot of times they call Latanya Mama P. So like, Mama P, do you mind going with us? We have parents who come in and want to go get HIV testing and things like that, and we'll go with them so that you have somebody that you feel comfortable with when you go and get your testing done. Same concept. If they want us there, we're there.
Absolutely. That's definitely a great resource to have to the community, and making awareness that this is actually a resource is really, really important. So hopefully there are a lot of live listeners tonight that can share with young parents, and also maybe their friends who have children and different things like that. And so I like that your program is very interactive, and it's like they have a goal and they're building on to it. And, that keeps the connectedness with the actual program itself, and they earn things. And, one thing I know about younger children, they like the opportunity to be able to gain things. And it doesn't sound like they're losing anything. It's just a straight game. So if you reach out, if you communicate, I get this game. And you guys give them a voice to be able to make good decisions and teach them how to make better choices, whether it's financially, mentally.
What counties do you serve?
So we do all of Mobile County. Even like Washington County, Madison County, if they can get to us, then, we'll help them. So we typically will do Mobile County, obviously, because it's easier for them to come into the office. We were in a place where we were shipping all the way out to Michigan, where we would just do because if you're doing the work and you're actively a part of the program, we would pay, to box it up and send them the things that they want, but we are currently a donation-based organization. So
how can people donate?
So they can donate by going onto the website, and we have a donate section through PayPal. Of course, you don't have to have a PayPal account. You can go in. We even offer now a monthly subscription. So if same thing, you go through the link through PayPal and it'll ask, okay, would you like to be a $20 monthly subscription with us? And what that does, that sponsors one of our young parents, even for paying for the Bright course, because we pay for that. That's a subscription that we pay for. And so you're essentially helping put a young parent through the program. If you just want to come by the building, in old school, you want to drop off a check or money order, you can come to the building, put it in our mailbox, or you can always contact us by phone. And we're more than happy, to meet you, set up an appointment, however you would like to go about doing it. So yes, we take donation of clothes, shoes, and not just for the children, but we take it for our young parents too. Because a lot of them, they don't have, interview clothes. They don't have clothes if they wanted to go to church, or even just daily clothes to wear. So we tell people, when you're doing your spring cleaning or things like that, think about our young parents. Come and bring those gently used items to us, because they're, sometimes they're homeless, sometimes they're in really, really bad situations, and they may only have enough that fits into a garbage bag, and you just never know a person's situation, and they're grateful to get something. Like, oh, don't nobody want that, I'm just gonna give it to the Goodwill. You can absolutely give it to the Goodwill, but if you would like to give it to us, we absolutely are gonna take it.
And then it's not gonna be resold, where you have to still find a way to be able to pay for it. $5 can be a lot to someone.
Yes.
So we got to get into it before we run out of time. The fourth trimester. Talk to me about which one do you want to start?
I'm gonna go first. Okay,
go
so
ahead.
let's talk about the fourth trimester. One of the things that we kind of talked about was like potential for postpartum. Basically, what happens is 2 weeks after delivery, because of course postpartum starts as soon as you deliver your baby. You're absolutely within the postpartum phase. However, postpartum depression comes potentially like 2 weeks or so. At first it's kind of the baby blues. And so we may see someone like really tearful, just kind of staring into space. 'Cause it's like trying to come to the realization, like, I'm a mother. And, that's a process to say, okay, I have another human that I have to provide and take care for. And so if we start seeing something after 2 weeks, we start saying, okay, let's do these different tests to see, is there some postpartum depression? Because depression looks like different things for different people, where one person may cry, one person may pick their eyebrows or different things like that. And so that's another condition that we see. So definitely there are a lot of medications out there that can be provided. However, if we have a breastfeeding mom, we're very limited to what can be actually offered. One thing, medication is there, but what I say is, why don't there be both? You need to actually talk it out. How is it that you're feeling? And, sometimes people can have what we call intrusive thoughts. Basically, what an intrusive thought is, like something you think about, an action that you would take that may be harmful, but you have no intentions on wanting to do it. It's just thoughts that just keep playing in your head. And this may be the first time that you've ever had this. Some people have it, outside of pregnancy, but it's definitely can be seen inside of pregnancy, where you just fear different things happening to your baby. And so we have to monitor that. We have to talk through that. Sometimes medication is definitely needed for that, because then we don't want to go into what we call psychosis. And that's where we see a lot of moms, and unfortunately this happens, where a lot of moms unalive their children, or they unalive themselves. So we want to catch people before we even get to the phase where we're talking about psychosis, where we're talking about a hospitalization and different things like that. So we have to catch that. Not only does it affect the mom, it can affect the dad. It can affect people around you. Another thing, when we start talking about what does it look like, and I go back to this, it affects everybody in the family, because we have to have a new system in play. Everybody's lives change. If we're talking about a teen, how do we continue to get our teen to be able to go to school? Because we can't say, oh, well, that's your baby. But that's sometimes what happens. That's your baby. You figure it out. Yeah. And so they're left out there to figure it out. And sometimes that figuring out is, I got to drop out of school because I have to go make some money. But if there is a support there, yes, this was probably unfavorable at this time. However, like anything else, things are temporary, because the goal is to get you out of this phase so we can move you further. So you don't need my support in the way that you need it now. So my support starts changing. But we got to get there first, and we got to be able to support our youth, even though it's through pregnancy and things like that.
And I'm still going to say that some of that support comes before pregnancy.
Absolutely.
I think that we should be educating our kids on things like this, having these types of conversations, panels. I'm always going to push churches to have these conversations, because I believe that the more we know, the better we do. Sometimes we still fall. We all fall short, including teens, but at least let them have. We definitely have to get out of the mindset of my child would never, because there are a lot of children who would never that are going through some significant depression symptoms now, because nobody even talked to them about what actually comes with teenage pregnancy. Go ahead.
Okay, I want to say a lot. Okay, I'm trying to sum it up.
Okay.
So to, because this is already on the front of my brain, to
Mhm.
even what you said, just having those conversations, because this was something that I had a conversation with my mom about. I was like, we never ever talked about dating. And my mom was like, well, dating is like when you're seriously preparing to get married. And I always felt like, you were too young, if you weren't seriously dating. I was like, well, mama, at 18, when I was going off to college, you didn't think to have the conversation? Because at this point, a lot of people, they married their high school sweethearts. They married, the person they meet in college. And so we don't learn, what does courtship look like? What does that look? If I'm dating someone, do I know that he picks up the check? Do I feel obligated because he picked up the check? Does that mean I have to give him something because he picked up the check? It's those type of questions that we may not know, or because he does X, Y, and Z for me, that means that I have to do, it's just, we don't have those conversations, because it's like, okay, you're supposed to go from being this adolescent to a young lady, you're going to go out to college, you're going to get married. Well, in between that, I got to date somebody. In between that, I have to, what is my identity as a person? And then now attaching myself to another person. How do I have those healthy conversations? How do I set boundaries and say, hey, like, yeah, you paid for this meal, but you paid for this experience, babe. I gave you this good conversation. We talked about it, and then that's what you paid for, not because I owe you something or I'm now indebted to you. So I think when we have those preventative conversations, just like we have preventative screenings when we go to the doctor, we can avoid a lot of backhand things, because you're just figuring out. You're talking to your friend who you're same age, who really don't know nothing either. So we both kind of just figuring it out. So I agree totally. Those preventative conversations, those informative, even learning about the anatomy of your body, things you need to know that stuff prior to, so you're not depending on someone else to provide that information to your child. If you're comfortable, obviously, to do it. If not, find you a mediator. Maybe that's something that we both need to work through. Don't be ashamed because, maybe you don't have the tools to do that with your child. That's okay. Find somebody maybe who can serve as that mediator to help you, because you don't want your child to be a detriment of something that maybe you're not comfortable or that you haven't overcome. So that was my spill on that. Now, even when it comes to that fourth trimester, I feel like a lot of times we forget about our moms at that point, because the baby is here. Oh, let me see the baby. A lot of times you don't even say, hey, baby, how you doing? What the baby at? Oh, let me go get the baby. Excuse me.
I want to see you. I want to see the baby.
Yeah, I ain't come here to see you. It ain't about you no more. It's about the baby. And it's like, that sounds funny to say, like, girl, it ain't about you no more. It's about the baby. You ain't. And it's like, dang, it's really not about me. Like, I'm great that my baby has all this love, but
especially if you were that mom that enjoyed being pregnant, because you do get a lot of attention when you're pregnant.
And then it's like, now that it's over, it's like, oh man, like, I'm kind of by myself, those intrusive thoughts, it's hard. And for me, so I don't like to say a pandemic baby, but I had my baby, and literally 4 days after, that's when we went on shutdown. So when you would normally go, if you were feeling bad, maybe go out to eat, have your friends over, it was me and four walls and my baby. I went back to work 3 weeks after that, and I was working from home. And postpartum for me looked like throwing myself into my work. I felt all type of ways. 2 weeks after I had my daughter, my sister died from lupus. I couldn't go to the funeral. I couldn't, lay her. I mean, it was so many things. My relationship was, on the fritz. And my mama, she's 64. So she like one of those real, like, strong Black women. Like, you don't let nobody make you feel, you're gonna be all right. You just trust the Lord. And and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna trust the Lord. I ain't gonna let this take me down. and I'm in a room crying. And I'm like, oh no, mom, I'm crying.
Lord, I trust you. Lord, I trust you.
So it's all of those things happening, and not having someone to talk to, really not even knowing how to say something is wrong. I don't even know. Well, what you mean you don't know what's wrong with you? Well, why are you crying? I don't know. Something just feels sad inside of me, So for me, it's just that postpartum care in other cultures, like especially in your Oriental, they have like facilities that you can go to after you have your baby, and they help you. Like that's a thing,
and you're off
for them
for months and months at a time, and you have other women of the community that come in and help.
I never heard of that before.
Yeah, so they have one. It's called Borum, and it's in Langham, New York, or Langham, Manhattan. Manhattan. So she's actually, I think she's maybe Vietnamese, if I'm not mistaken. And so she had her baby in the States, and she was accustomed to that. And she was like, it's nothing here in America that serves you that way. And so she partnered, and she provided that. So she has a facility, I think it's on top of like a hotel. And so she has so many suites, and that's what you can come there after you have your baby. They help, and you have that village, and, you have different resources where if you want to rest, if, you want to have your baby in your room, it's literally up to you. We have that plan of prenatal, make sure I have my hospital bed, but it's like, okay, did you figure out who may come in and help you do the dishes, who's going to be over laundry, during this time? Because if you trying to go back to life before you had the baby, because even when you're pregnant, you can still do your own laundry, you still have that sense of independence, but you now have a baby that's attached to you,
and
that
telling you not even sweep the floor.
Yeah, you can't, baby, you can't even act like you about to put your big toe out the bed, and the baby like, where you going?
And God
come
forbid
back.
if you have a cesarean.
And you're super down.
Right.
You have so much healing. And I mean, that can be traumatic for a person, because it's like, I really need somebody, like need somebody, physically can't do for myself. And I don't even have anybody that I can call.
Or you're afraid to, because you were told.
Because you're not a strong black
right.
woman.
You got to do this. And that's another thing
it.
too. A lot of people want to say what they did and what they were able to do. And did you have to do it because you didn't have another choice? But if you've provided me more options, why do I have to struggle? And we have to get out of that. We want to see people struggle. Oh, you caused this, or this is your problem, so you're going to deal with it. So basically what you're saying is, I'm okay with your struggling. I'm willing to watch you struggle. And that's sad. And that's a lonely feeling. And that goes us back to the lonely topic.
Yes.
Because you're in it by yourself.
It's a lot. And then, you do have where some parents are still parenting. Some parents are still struggling to parent the new mom, and now you have a new baby that you brought into. And so as a family, it becomes even more difficult. Because I used to tell my kids, like, I transparent, I was very into birth control. Like, I made sure that my children were on birth control. I did not want to have any early grandchildren. I did not. But sometimes, like, they would start getting into trouble, and then I would know, like, my other people whose kids, all they did was had a baby, and I'm like, well, y'all just need to go get pregnant or something, because like, I would rather you just have a baby. That would be easier than you getting into, you know what I'm saying? So like, kids get into, like, different things happen to different children. But we do have to make sure that we are not judging children when because I was a teen parent, and now I say I got pregnant when I was 18, but if I'm being honest, I was trying before 18. I have been planning to get pregnant for many years. And like I said, with the sole purpose of being able to protect this child from anything and everything that could possibly happen to her. And it wasn't the greatest for our relationship either. Listen, I think we got one more quick question, because I know we started a little late. We got about 3 minutes. I think Tech might let us have 3 minutes. There was the trending topic today that I promised you guys we were going to talk about is this one, because we are talking about support, right? But is support mandatory? Because the question, or how we support is how we support somebody mandatory, because it says something about, are you, like, does anybody have any deadbeat grandparents or deadbeat aunties and uncles? Like, what is a deadbeat auntie and uncle or grandparent to you? What makes them a deadbeat?
Well, I think a lot of times is the person. I think it's a misuse of a term, and more so the person doesn't feel supported.
Okay.
And they're saying, okay, well, this person won't babysit for me, but that's not always a guarantee that a person will babysit for you. Let's just be real. Now, I can offer you support with helping you get a car, be able to get a car seat, be able to get some milk, because WIC only lasts and goes for so long. And so someone has to purchase some more milk for this baby. So that could be that. So, and that's where we have to start thinking about, what can this person support me with? you may have a person who does, okay, I babysit for you. Or I may have a person who's like, okay, well, I'm sending your baby clothes and stuff like that. So what a person can support you with, that's what you have to accept from them. It's almost like trust. Like we can't say, oh, I just give you all the trust. And we know that you fall short in a lot of things, but we're going to say, oh, I give you all the trust. And when you fall short, now we're upset. That's not realistic. So we have to be realistic about our expectations sometimes.
Because I think sometimes we cut off our blessings when we get so upset because they don't get the support they want in this particular area.
Right.
Because, you know, we will cut somebody off.
Oh, we'll
they
cancel.
didn't give me, it was canceled because I didn't give you this. And I may have been giving you all of this if you'd allowed me to, but because I didn't give you this, you don't want all of this. You just want what you want.
Communication is a big thing too.
It is. Saying how I want to word this, y'all hitting a little home with this one. I got a current situation, so a little transparency.
Okay.
So that made me think a different way when you just said, you know, what and how can you help me? I guess for me, I mean, I never really called, you know, a grandparent or aunt or whomever, you know, a deadbeat. But for me, it becomes kind of in that area when you want to show my child off and you want to take my child when you want to go and show that you're this model grandparent. But in 3 years of living, you've probably purchased two or three things. You don't come and visit her. You may call here and there, but then you want to ask, can you go take my child over to Daphne, or can you take my child? I mean, absolutely not.
Put them in the family photos.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So to everybody else, and then when I do cut you off, for me, it's because you're not genuine. Your reasoning behind doing the things that you're doing is not because you genuinely love and care about my child. You know, you have had ample opportunity to do and be there and support in however that was for you, but be consistent in that. If you just only want to provide clothes, that's cool. That's your thing. If you just only want to call here and there, but stay consistent. I don't want to have my child looking and, you know, wanting to be around you. And it's when you feel like it. That's not how that works. Because if you're her pawpaw, if you're her grandmother, you know, if you're her godmother, her godbrother, whatever the case may be consistent enough in that, because that's the title that you shouldn't take lightly. You know, that's my thing, is see the value in that. Yeah, you may not be able to show up in every aspect like her mom or like her dad, but care enough to say, you know what, this is my grandbaby. Like, you know I may not be, because some people, they don't have the nerves to deal with children. Like, I can't. I don't have the nerve to deal with no children.
And that goes back what you can trust this person with.
Exactly.
You can't trust them to
watch a baby.
They don't even watch themselves. Let alone talking about watching a baby.
Wait a minute, because I feel like I'm being attacked here. Hold on a second.
But that's my thing. It's like, just make, you know, whatever you're going to offer, you know, and however you want to show up and be a part of their life. For me, it's just be consistent and be genuine. Don't do it because, you know, me and her dad is in a fight or we're not getting along. So now you want to show up because you want to show that your son got to support, you know, because now it's a different motive behind it, because when things were good, you were nowhere to be found.
But you know what that goes back to? An old saying, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. And that's what people get caught up on. Because I think a lot of it
does come from, like, I know that a lot of the trouble that we see, or the complaints that we see, are going to be from that dad's side of the family, that dad's side of the family isn't doing this, or they aren't doing that. It's been like prevalent for a long time.
And that's the thing. Like, you know, people get really offended when we start talking about getting paternity tests.
Oh yeah, because I was like, do you want a DNA test for your baby? Because I don't mind. I don't want you to have no type of, you know, I don't want you to think, or you get mad one day and you say, oh, well, whoever baby this is. But you know, and that's the thing. People don't want to do that.
We're taught that that's offensive to say can I get a paternity test?
Sometimes they make you. Yeah, I think at a certain age, don't they make you still?
They might.
I don't know.
But yeah, I was willing. I was like, you know, because I don't want, you know, you to have any, you know, because I don't mind, because I know what I have going on. I'm not going to be offended, you know, by that. Because if you want to know that, you know, because things can happen. I mean, absolutely. Because I want you to feel secure. If that's a part of helping you feel secure in your capacity, then, you know, that's absolutely fine.
All right. This is going to have to be a whole nother conversation inside, because I could literally go on and on and on. What I will say before I go ahead and close this out is children can sense things. They sense anxiety, and I know that I have, horrible anxiety. So like when my grandkids come over to the house, I'm not gonna lie, I want Chris to be there, or typically their dad will be the ones that come over, like their dad will be there. And then their dad is always gonna go, wherever I am, they're gonna find me, and he's gonna, when as soon as he sees them come to me, then he gone, right? And then they are all over the place, right? And I'm like, wait, do this,
and they overstimulate you.
Yeah, and I just, it's not something I'm used to. So, like I say all the time, well, maybe if you bring them, or I tell Chris or whatever, like bring them over more, and they'll get comfortable with me, because I don't know what it is about me, but kids, babies, they don't really like me that much. Like they start crying when they see me about go to grab them or pick them up. They just start crying.
Maybe they can feel your anxiety.
I think that they can really feel my anxiety, and so I don't like, why even put them through that. So I gotta be in a better place to where I'm comfortable enough. So I have made like a conscious effort to start, when they have things, okay, well, let me go. I feel like if they see my face more, then maybe they'll be more comfortable with spending time with me, because I do want to build like a better relationship with, and these are my bonus, my bonus children's children. So they're my grandchildren, my bonus grandchildren. And so I am trying to do a better job at being, a honey.
And it may take you taking small steps, 2 hours, and 3 hours versus 8 hour stretches and on the whole weekend and things like that.
I'm definitely not there yet.
It takes time, like with anything else, like even like bonding with your own child. It can take time. People think automatically because your baby comes out, you're automatically connected and bonded.
Yeah, like I don't see them for 6-7 months, and then you can't expect that child will be comfortable with you just dropping them off while you go to work, and I keep them. And I won't want to do that to them either. But anyway, we gotta go. It is 10 minutes after 7. We're gonna have to definitely come back. But it is Mental Health Month, Awareness Month. So have a conversation with somebody about mental health. Come back next week, and it's also not only Mental Health Month, but Mother's Day is coming up. So we're gonna have some moms. We talked about my daughter earlier, Shamaya. She's gonna be here next week. I have my niece Candace is gonna be here next week. Eunice and Anitra will also be back next week. So we're gonna have a good show. We're gonna talk about the Black mama. Black moms be like, because it kind of has become a dirty word, like an angry word, like a toxic, like bad word. Black moms. When did Black moms become not? I thought it was good to have a strong Black mama, but apparently some of us have been doing something that y'all don't like. So we're going to talk about Black moms next week. Don't forget to tune in next Tuesday at 7 p.m. If you have not already got your tickets to Tea to Turn on June 17th at Daphne Civic Center, please go to www.healthisocial.com and get your tickets to Tea to Turn. Eunice Mingo and myself, DMOJC Elite Ladies of Deliverance praise dancers will be there. We're going to have a plethora of entertainment that day. Tech will be on crowd control. Photoholics will be in the building. It's going to be a good time. So make sure you go ahead over to the website and get your tickets. Okay. We'll make sure both of these ladies drop their links in. We had we saw the comments, so we were not ignoring you. It was just a good topic. If you want some more information on how you can see Miss LaKendra, or wait, am I getting them backwards?
You're right.
LaKendra and Kalia, then head on over to the comment section and we'll have them post them down there. If you're coming back later on, which is where a lot of our viewers are going to be later on, we do hope that you enjoy this topic. You can still like, comment, follow, share tomorrow. We thank you for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and take us out with the word of prayer tonight so we can get out of here. All hearts and minds clear.
All minds are clear.
All right. Father God, in the name of Jesus, God, we want to thank you once again for bringing us here together. God, whatever you are doing, however you keep connecting me with these incredible co-hosts, with like a wealth of knowledge and information, I am so appreciative. I'm so appreciative for everything you do with Journey with Trish. I am appreciative for everything that you do in the lives, in the organizations, and the companies, the businesses of the women who sit here with me, and even the men. God, as Tech comes up here and is bothered with us every Tuesday night, we ask that you would continue to be a blessing and expand his territory as well. We are so humbled and so grateful. We pray blessings, prosperity, and bright futures for every teen mom out there. We speak life over you and your children from this generation and generations to come. Thank you. In Jesus' name, we love you. God bless y'all and good night.
Good night.